All right, what's going on, guys? Hey, Bacon, let me know if you can hear me okay. Everything should be fine. I'm getting everything set up here. We're getting ready to begin in just a second. Give everybody a chance to get on in. Sounds perfect. Awesome. Good deal. Good deal. I know that there's like a slight delay between like when you guys send messages and me talking, and it takes time. I know that there's, no matter how fast my internet connection is, there's just a delay between what I'm physically saying and when YouTube actually spits it out. It's not much. I think it's like 20 seconds or 15 seconds. But anyway, you finish. See, I'm just bringing some stuff up on my screen. I'm just getting organized real quick. Just bear with me. I also got to shut my, I got to get my, my door shut. All right. So, as I mentioned a couple times, the work is still going on at my apartment. A while ago, like a couple months back, I had a big leak in my bathroom office, and water was coming up from the floor. After digging up my floor, they determined that it wasn't coming up from the floor. It was actually leaking in through a wall from a pipe that belongs to the building. So they've been like ripping down and taking care of the pipes that are. There's basically a big hole in the back of my office, right? I don't like in the wall. It's pretty bad. There's dust everywhere. Like everything is kind of in pieces. So, yes, I do live in an older building, unfortunately. Hopefully not for long. Probably just for another year or two. But yeah, no, it's all good. It is what it is. I mean, like they found what the problem is, so it's all good. They're in the process of fixing it. I shaved off the majority of my beard as well, and I look terrible. Plus, my room looks terrible, so nobody needs to see all that shit. Need that bull run so you can buy a house with some. Yes, 100%. I would absolutely love that. That's kind of the goal. I don't think I'm going to be doing that through crypto alone, but yes, that is absolutely the goal. All right, let me go ahead and turn on my my screen here. All right, so I'm just going to start here because this is what I posted earlier today on Twitter. So basically what ended up happening is we kind of moved our range, right? So like after we had this kind of, this kind of consolidation here, okay? We had what looked like was going to be some kind of a Head and Shoulders off the move to the downside. We didn't really get that follow through here. What ended up happening is it broke, but then it basically just formed like a new range here. So there was that. But since then, obviously this week we leveled up here, right? We broke through our local support and resistance level. We finally broke through that. That level's been, since back here. It actually goes back further, like back to here. Okay. This is a low time frame, 15 minutes. But anyway, this was our local level. We broke through this. Did my daughter recognize me after I shaved? No, she did not. She did not. And she didn't like it. Like, no, like it was like that meme. I saw a meme the other day. It was like, honey, you should shave your beard. Okay. And then he shaves his beard and it was like this like ridiculous thing. Yeah, never again. Like I shaved it off. My wife thought that she was going to like it. And we all hate it. Like it's just terrible all around. Like nobody likes it. I don't like it. She doesn't like it. My daughter thinks it looks weird. So yeah, like I've been growing it back as quickly as possible. It's grown for like the last like week or two, but it's definitely not like it used to be. What did your wife's boyfriend say, motherfucker? Damn, now I just curse, so YouTube's gonna demonetize me. Anyway, we broke through this local support and resistance. Bacon's getting me off track here. Motherfucker. Local support and resistance, right? This goes back quite a ways since the beginning of the month. We broke through this, and then we basically turned our old range high into our new minor, minor range low here, which ended up looking really nice. So this is pretty much the chart that I posted earlier today. We hadn't gotten back all the way here yet, but we are seeing just the start of a little bounce, which is awesome. But yeah, so this could potentially be a level flip here. So our immediate resistance is going to be up here. So this is where people are going to be trying to ladder shorts. And then we've got our new minor range high because we're in a new range now, right? We broke through here. This is now our bottom. This is now our top. And now we've got a new range up here. So this is the range that I'm looking for any more, continuation of the top side. From that level, I'd probably be expecting somewhere around here, right? This looks really nice here, right? Very, very clean level here on this 15-minute time frame. We tapped it perfectly. This would be the next level that I would be looking at. And in general, this would just be like a larger time frame range, right? Like this little resistance would end up being like our midline. This would be our high. This would be our low. Okay. Just basically taking it level by level here. Which is good. So for right now, I mean, if we take a look at the volume, like OBV and stuff, it looks okay here. We are getting a higher low compared to here, and we're getting a lower low on the OBV. So there is some very slight divergence here. I wouldn't say it's anything major that would cause an incredible sized move. But nevertheless, it is there. It's something to pay attention to. And let's see, let's take a look at our momentum here. Yeah, so after this rip, the momentum just really died off. Look how flat our MACD got after this, right? The lines are just right on top of each other. There's barely any momentum bars here at all. So the momentum pretty much just died. This is pretty expected. If you guys are newer to the markets, you guys know that this is the kind of thing that happens usually, before a weekend. Plus, I mean, in the United States, this is a holiday weekend. Okay. So it's Memorial Day weekend. The volume is going to be very, very low. I'm not expecting anything much this weekend. It's probably just going to chop around, very minimal volume. It's open season, it's the weekend of the year where everybody whips out the grills, whips out the smokers. Especially when you live in a place like Kansas City, like I do, or in Texas or something. No one's doing anything, right? You're going to go, play some football outside or play some Frisbee. You're grilling, you're doing stuff with the fam, shooting off fireworks, whatever, whatever you're doing. Holiday weekend. So I'm not really expecting anything crazy this weekend. Those of you just joining, I didn't really do an introduction in this stream. But those of you guys that are new, I do this every Friday. So make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button. Helps me out, helps get the word out. And, you'll get notified whenever I go live, which is easier for you because then you don't have to go hunting for tweets. It'll just pop up, as a notification on your phone, which is awesome. Anyway, low volume weekend. Okay. So instead of focusing on this weekend and what this clusterfuck, choppy ass price action is going to do this weekend, let's focus on a game plan for next week, right? After the holiday weekend when the markets open up. Okay. So I believe that's probably just going to be a normal Tuesday morning, right? So we'll take a look at our economic calendars for what we have going on next week. This is my go-to. Obviously Monday, it's Memorial Day, nothing happening here. Now Tuesday, we do get some numbers out, and these are actually kind of important. We're going to be getting our consumer confidence numbers and our housing price index numbers. Those are both really important for us. So those are the first numbers that we're going to get after the holiday weekend on Tuesday. There might be some volatility from that, but I'm expecting it to be pretty minimal. Most people don't really pay too much attention to the consumer confidence. I tend to, because longer term, if you plot it on a chart, over years, it's a really good sentiment indicator. But in general, those numbers aren't going to be causing tons and tons of volatility. Housing price index might, but that's probably going to be constrained to actual real estate markets and MBS and stuff like that. So for us, probably not going to be moving the markets very much for that. but just something to be aware of, right? And then on Wednesday, if we come down here, we do have Jefferson is going to be making a speech, and then we're going to get the JOLTS jobs opening. Okay, so we're going to have 2 Fed speeches that day. Those are going to be something that I'm going to be paying close attention to, because they might be dropping little Easter eggs about what they're planning to do for the June FOMC meeting. Okay, so that might be important. But again, even if they drop a little bit of Easter eggs, these aren't the kinds of events that are widely watched. They're just going to be like interviews somewhere, probably at some like college or something. But who knows? Maybe they get some questions, and maybe they drop some Easter eggs for us. So I'm going to be listening to those very carefully, as long as they're streamed, and I can actually watch them live. Moving into Thursday, again, we do have manufacturing numbers obviously coming out, and the big one that everybody is going to be paying attention to is our initial jobless claims, like the employment stuff, right? Jobless claims, employment changes. Like, is the employment going up? Is it going down? How many jobless claims are there, for like unemployment and stuff like that? And then that's pretty much it. The big thing on Friday is it's going to be a non-farm payroll day. Those are days that I typically tend to stay away from. Non-farm payroll days are normally pretty volatile. That's going to be on a Friday. I believe that's also options expiry day, and we're getting our official unemployment rate on that day. Just Thursday and Friday is just going to be all jobs reports, non-farm payroll, and stuff relating to the labor market, right? So you've got your participation numbers, you've got your average hourly earnings. The reason why this is important is because this is the statistic that everyone uses against inflation to see how correlated or uncorrelated wages are keeping up or not keeping up with inflation, if that makes sense. Okay. So whenever they talk about, like wages aren't keeping up with inflation, these average, like the labor force participation and stuff, and the average hourly earnings, that's the statistics that they use to form that kind of a chart. Okay. So that's really important. Obviously the unemployment numbers are really important. I'm still expecting them to be very low. We dropped from 3.6 to 3.4. I'm expecting it to still be 3.4, or maybe it ticked up just a tad and it's like 3.5 or back to 3.6. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It's under 4% and it's at lows that we haven't seen since like 1969. Okay. It's like ridiculous. The unemployment is ungodly low, which is why the labor force participation and those hourly average hourly earnings are going to be really important. So that's what we got going on next week. We will see some volatility. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy because it's not like, the week before an FOMC meeting. However, the FOMC meeting is on Wednesday, June 14th. Okay. So that's 3 weeks from now. The markets open up on Tuesday. That's the 30th. So the 6th is 1 week. And then, so it's really only like after the markets open on Tuesday next week, it's really only like another 2 or 3 weeks away. Now remember, and I've said it a million times, normally the week or two before, the FOMC meetings, normally that's when we start seeing volatility. Recently, for the last 2 or 3 meetings, it has been to the top side. Keep that in mind. We might see that trend continue. Obviously not financial advice, like, don't 100x your net worth on, NVIDIA right now, before an FOMC meeting, 2 weeks before an FOMC meeting. Not a good idea. Don't do that. But typically you see the most volatility 2 weeks before and leading up to, and then obviously the day of the FOMC. After that, it just kind of like dies off, and the trend that it's in will kind of like sputter out. So far for us, that hasn't really been the case. If we really look at the S&P here and bring up our time frame to like a daily chart, we just smashed through this resistance level here. Okay, so this is our main order block of like yearly resistance, and we just smashed through that. So I mean, if this trend continues, this would be the next level that I'm looking for up here, which is like 4,300. Okay. And just kind of take this like, by each $50 level. So we broke 200. I'd be looking for some kind of resistance at 250. And then 300 would be, like a target if I'm long. Okay. But at the end of the day, there is divergence all through here. Okay. And it's been growing for quite some time. I do believe that I really feel like this is going to flip over. There's just too much uncertainty with what's going on with the debt ceiling. What's crazy is that we actually default on the 5th if we don't pay, which is actually kind of like if they don't come to an agreement or whatever. That's actually kind of crazy. Like it'll be on Monday. So like we literally have, a week. This holiday weekend, and then they have 1, 2, 3, 4 days until we default. 4 business days, right? It'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we default. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on with that. That's probably going to be the thing that brings the most volatility, is just the uncertainty around the debt ceiling and the possibility of a default. This happens pretty occasionally. It's happened every single, president term or whatever, since I can remember of being alive. Okay. There's always drama around this. They always kick the can down the road. The US never defaults. It's a running joke. There's just drama around it. They play the blame game for a couple weeks, and then last minute, what do you know? There's a deal. I don't expect it to go any different this time. Everybody always expects it to be a little different. It never is. It's always the same shit. So that being said, there's divergence everywhere here, and it's been forming for quite some time, as far back as here. Okay, there's a very clear downtrend here in our momentum. Okay, very clear. If we really want to get it perfect, right, it would look something like this. Okay, very clear. In general, the price has been moving up throughout all of this, but the divergence is very pronounced here. Okay, so that's one thing I've been looking at overall. Our RSI is struggling now to make higher highs, just been making equal highs all through here, while the price action has been continually making higher highs, right? High, low, lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Okay. So you can see clearly we've got this, where is it? Nope. We've got this ascending channel here, right? That was terrible. We've got this ascending channel. Okay. Normally consolidation to the top side, that means that you end up seeing something like this and then a rejection. Very rarely in legacy markets will it be like Bitcoin, where you get like an uptrend, an ascending channel, and then just a parabolic move. Normally legacy markets, and especially indices, don't move like that. If that did happen here, it would be a very rare event. I think I've only seen that happen on an indice maybe once or 2 other times, maybe in like 3 years or 12 years of trading. In the last 3 years, I haven't seen that at all. It just normally doesn't happen that way. Like, you normally don't consolidate upwards and then see a further upward trend. Normally, if you consolidate upwards like we did through here, right? We had this huge trend, right? Huge channel here. Okay. You could even call it like this. We got deviation, broke back in, couldn't break out. And then we got another deviation and a low retest, right? In this area of this order block. Okay. And then continue to the top side. Like, we retested this bearishly or whatever. And then we rechecked it to the top side. This is normally what's expected of that, where it just keeps grinding for a while. But when you throw in the drama of the debt ceiling and stuff like that, and the inflation and stuff, I just really don't see that happening here. Now, that's actually a good example. Let's go back here. See, it looks like I might be falling into the same trap, actually, because this whole thing as well, you can see this obviously had bearish divergence all through here, and then it just kept moving to the top side. So it is possible for that to happen. Obviously, if the US defaults, that's not going to happen, and this is just going to see a massive free fall, probably back down to like 3,500, and it would be devastating. But that's kind of where I'm seeing this now. If we compare this to like what the dollar is doing. We're starting to get to a pretty critical resistance level on the dollar. The dollar has been playing pretty nicely. We have this really nice lower time frame consolidation here at a pretty major support level on lower time frames. Okay. We bounced here and now we're starting to head up and like poke our head at like 105. Like 105 is the next level that we want to be breaking. Now, we already had a double top and a reversal. We already have had like a double bottom. And if you guys remember last week, what I said was, look, there stands a very, very good chance of this still being an Adam and Eve reversal. And it really still appears since last week when I first said this, it really looks like that's what's happening. Last week's stream was the 19th. So that was here on this candle. So on that day, it looked like this. Okay. And sure enough, the price action is still, still climbing up here. So I still like this pattern. It's just really clear here. Like if this is an Adam and Eve reversal, I really think that this is going to rock it. And if that does end up happening, the stock markets are 100% going to reverse. Like everything's going to start moving to the downside. Now, Bitcoin has not necessarily been super correlated with this recently, which is odd to me because it's been inversely correlated with the dollar in general for very, very long. Let's actually bring those two charts up side by side. On the daily chart, it might be more correlated, but we'll have to see. What is this? Market cap. Let's go to Bitcoin. Okay. And we'll look at the daily. Here we go. What is this? Back to August 2022. So August 2022, basically, right? So in general, while the dollar was moving up, man, let me change the color of that, make it more bright. As in general, as the dollar was moving up through here, right? We were getting that downward move on Bitcoin. Now, obviously, this also had to do with the FTX capitulation, but in general, they were moving in the same direction, right? And then when it reversed big, right? And this was our reversal. Now, where did it decorrelate? Because that's actually kind of important to know. What is this here? December of 2022. This is December of 2022. This is when we kind of reached a bottom. October. Yeah, so it looks like it decoupled around here. It's basically like the FTX event was basically like what decoupled that. When was this? Like in November? Yeah, so the FTX event decoupled. This kept going down like crazy. The stock markets and everything kept rallying like crazy. And Bitcoin was just flat. And then when was this? February? Yeah, so it got recorrelated here a little bit in January. Right here, this was still going down. Bitcoin had its first huge pump up into February, which was about here. When did this downtrend start? March. Yeah, about March. See, and then that's when it started correlating with itself again. So it's been really weird. Like normally I rely on this to be the exact opposite of Bitcoin. All of this was pretty much the same, about the same time frame. So I don't know. It's been kind of wonky. It definitely hasn't been as reliable, especially like on lower time frames, like the 4 hour. It hasn't been as reliable as it normally is here. I mean, it's just forming this very, very clear reversal pattern, and the dollar is just kind of doing its own thing here, which I think is very interesting. I mean, you can see even with the same time frames, going back to, the beginning of the year. Okay. This is from the beginning of the year. It's just, this has just been in one large consolidation, and Bitcoin has just in general just been ripping like crazy the entire time, like regardless of what this is doing. When this was in a downtrend, yeah, sure, Bitcoin was up. But when this was in an uptrend, Bitcoin was also up. So it's been very, very funky here. I think that this might be a decoupling of sorts. If this kind of persists for like more than like a year, I would say that is probably going the route of actually decoupling. But in general, if this ends up breaking 105, I definitely don't think it's going to be good. Like Bitcoin will probably end up getting dragged along with that, because what's going to happen is the dollar won't be directly dragging Bitcoin down. What's going to happen is the dollar, like going up crazy like that with the inflation and stuff, that's going to drag the S&P and like the legacy indices down, and that's what's going to make Bitcoin flip over. But in general, I still really like this Adam and Eve pattern. Like it's looking really good. If you wanted to ignore this part because you're not familiar with an Adam and Eve, you can still call this a cup and handle here. Okay. And you're waiting for some kind of a handle formation somewhere, either in here or in here, for some kind of a breakout above, that 105 level. So very, very important here. Like this is the chart to be watching right now, is the dollar with all of the uncertainty. Very clear Adam and Eve. That's kind of where I'd be watching. I already went over SPX. Oh, that's what I wanted to went over. Is the FANG index. So the FANG is basically just it's just an index of like the big ones on on tech, right? So like your Facebook, Google, Meta, Alibaba, Amazon, AMD, Intel, you know what I mean? Like those guys. Actually, it might say, does it list them all here? I don't think it does. No, it doesn't list them all here. Give me a link to it. Does it tell me any information about what's listed inside of it? It does not. Of course not. Thanks, TradingView. Anyway, FANG index has been going absolutely wild. This is another chart that I'm watching because I'm starting to think that it's possible that tech may have topped out here. Okay. Tech has been just in an absolute monster bull run the entire year so far. And it's made a massive recovery since basically we broke from where we were like last year, and we just round tripped in a single year, and just round tripped the entire move to the downside. That's really huge for tech. That's like a very, very substantial move. This index, obviously, it's been around since 2018, but like, look at the amount of the downs. I mean, if I take this off log, I mean, like, look at this absolutely crazy downturn that we had in 2021. Like after the tech trade ended, okay, like from COVID, right? Like this was tech going absolutely monstrous, crazy full retard during COVID, right? Like this chart's very important. COVID was just nuts, right? I mean, like it was ramping up. Everyone knew that there was going to be lockdowns and all this shit. There was lockdowns. It corrected and it sold off like during earnings or whatever, because the earnings through here was garbage. They got the earnings for those quarters here, and then it just ripped like crazy for like, what was this? Basically 2 years before like it actually had confirmation that it broke down. That's insane. So, from its top here, if you really measure like from the top of the FANG, this correction was, I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, whatever. How much was this? 50%. It cut it in half. That's insane. So it regained. How much did it regain? It regained 73% so far of what it lost. So it's net down maybe what, like 20% overall, 15, 20%. That's like an insane, in 1 year, that is like crazy to come back and then beat highs from this time last year. That is nuts. And, obviously, like you can just look at your indicators here, for stuff like this. If you bring it up to a daily chart, I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Again, there's just very, very, very like widespread divergence all through this, right? Like we're double topping here between this high, and there's just a massive higher high here. And this is flat. This is the kind of thing where, okay, we dipped down on our RSI, like below 50, but it was always recovered like immediately. This might be kind of a red flag, like, okay, maybe we're going to start topping out here. This is the kind of thing that we saw when we started getting like this, right? Here's a good example of this. Okay. We had this huge I picked the wrong freaking spot. This one was bearish divergence, and all we got was a small correction, right? We just saw this. I forgot the example that I was trying to show. I forgot where it was. Oh, here. It's staring right in front of me. Right here, right? Double top high. Big time higher high in price, right? Really big. And then boom, we got like that huge reversal here. Now, granted, through here, while it was kind of chopping, going sideways and moving up to its top, you know, like obviously the RSI was coming down like a lot further. We haven't really seen that through here, which is the only reason why I might think that, okay, maybe it does continue and we have a little more topside to go. Like maybe we come up here and we test like, you know, 7,500-ish. But in general, this is starting to look like very exhausted here. Like in general, you guys know this, like when you're looking at the MACD and you're looking at momentum, when it's a really strong uptrend, you see these lines further apart like this, right? When it's like a weakening uptrend, you start seeing this kind of bullshit where it's like, oh, look, I'm going to cross and it fakes out. Oh, look, I'm going to cross and it fakes out. And then you're still going up, but it's already been a confirmed bearish cross for like 3 or 4 bars. This is flipping over, in my opinion. Like this is going to flip. So just be careful with that. Like I think that me personally, like, you know, all the people that made money on it. Did I make money on NVIDIA? No, I didn't take the trade. Did Cathie Wood make money on NVIDIA? No, she fumbled the fucking bag like crazy and fucking got rid of her NVIDIA like literally a week before it ripped like nuts. Fucking stupid decision. I don't understand why people are like, oh my God, Cathie Wood, she's a fucking god investor. Like, she's really not. Like, I mean, she's fumbled the bag. Like majorly fumbled the bag, like crazy, like multiple times. Like, I mean, she has like a history of fumbling the bag. So I don't understand why, you know, Elon Musk is like all up in her shit. But I didn't take the NVIDIA trade, but honestly, I think the NVIDIA for like the FANG stocks, especially like this index where we're attracted, that's the main reason why this has been skyrocketing even further, even though there's divergence like fucking crazy here. And I really think that was kind of like the last hurrah. Okay. So like certainly down here on a 4-hour chart, you've got that divergence. It's very clear. It's very clear here. Okay. The 1-hour chart, I believe it's pretty much the same thing. Very weak cross to the top side here. And it's flipping right back over. Same kind of deal. Okay. You know, between here and here, still massive divergence. Anyway, that's kind of what I'm looking at with that. I think NVIDIA was the last hurrah, and I think that anybody caught holding the bag is going to get caught bag holding for quite some time on NVIDIA. Their stock is probably going to go down when they realize that, like when people realize that nobody wants those 4060 Ti's and that they're a total waste of money. The 4060 Ti is literally the same exact card as the 3060. If you want more information on that, go to Gamers Nexus channel on YouTube and watch his review and his specs on the 4060. It's literally a 3060 that can just do DLSS 3.0. That's the only difference. It's pretty terrible. It's pretty garbage. So yeah, NVIDIA's earnings were great. I think that's the last like really good like NVIDIA earnings that they have, because those earnings are pretty much from like the launch of like the 4080 and the 4070 Ti. When the 4060 comes out and like they're starting to sell that now, by the time they get their next earnings, they are not beating earnings. Like there's no fucking way. That shit ain't gonna sell. Obviously they have other stuff going on with like AI and stuff, but that's like really far off from like actually hitting the markets. That's not going to affect their earnings right now. Anyway, taking a look at US oil real quick. Well, actually, why am I even looking at oil? You guys aren't oil bugs and gold bugs and stuff like me. So we'll head back to Bitcoin, look at a higher time frame. What I thought was also interesting was that we came back and tried to re-enter this trend line here from this triangle. This broken triangle, like we retested the inside of the of the top of this trend line here and then just immediately reject it again. This is obviously invalidated at this point. If you get a throw over to the top and to the bottom at the same side, it normally just means that you're in a horizontal range and not a diagonal one. So for the most part, if you still have this on your chart, you could probably erase this, but I normally don't erase things. I'm going to leave it here for reference because we get these all the time, right? We've seen these multiple occasions. Ancient Alien, sorry, you probably told me this a while ago. Thoughts on XRP? I never really trade XRP, but I'll take a look at it for you because why not? Looks like a huge BART. Immediately what I see on the 4 hour is a potential head and shoulders here. Well, that was a terrible line. That's the first thing that comes to my mind when just looking at this. Clearly it's in a downtrend from here. So, I mean, this could potentially be a head and shoulder. Maybe. If we zoom out, oh my God, it's just a choppy fucking mess. Jesus Christ. Wow, that's bad. I don't understand why so many people trade this. It just looks like hot garbage. It just does nothing. 2021 bull run. This was 2018 bear market. This was 2019. So 2019, it didn't even break its previous 2017 highs, like at all. And it just died until the massive bull run in 2021 and then died again. Man, I mean, that's looking really rough, dude. Let's look at our volume. What's the volume been like through here? Is it any good? Not really. There's like really long periods of like very, very little to no volume. And it looks like you're about to go through another one of those cycles right now where it's just like, oh, look, it had a pop. And some people bought the dip and then they sold. And then they bought the dip and then they sold. And then they're chasing. And now it's just going to like, it's doing this again, right? Like that's what it looks like it's going to do. It really looks to me like it's just going to do, it already did that. It looks like it's just going to do this. For real. Like that's what it looks like right now. That's what I would expect nothing less from XRP than to chop sideways forever and chop everyone to bits. Let's look on the weekly. Maybe the weekly gives us hints. No, not really. It's just back to the same nonsense. It costs the same that it did in 2019. Like, yeah, I don't know. There's like next to no volume on this. I personally wouldn't be wasting time trading this. There's way other better things that you could be trading. I mean, like, yeah, my first thing is like, okay, yeah, this looks like a head and shoulders, but like when you really zoom out this chart, like I don't really have too much confidence in this breaking. I mean, it could. I mean, it is the fact that this has already been formed. It's worth a punt since it's at the end of the pattern. You know, and you can just play this, you know, this trend line here, right? This big neckline that you got going on. You know, you can just play that neckline. I don't know why I drew it back for so far, but, you know, you could play a trend break of this. It looks like you have maybe another trend line like this or something, you know, just kind of like play that diagonal range and wait for a break of that. You could do something like that. I mean, you know, what I'm saying is like you could like, you know, set a limit here, set a limit here, set a limit here, set your stop below here, in expectations of like, okay, this is going to maybe dip one more time and then do one of these. You know what I'm saying? Like you get like a head and shoulders on the smaller time frame, like here or something. Because technically this is in a downtrend from here on the lower time frames. So maybe, but I mean, you definitely would want to be playing like a break of this, right? Like that's what you want to be playing up to, you know, testing like 47 cents, 50 cents. That's where your target should be, is like 50 cents from here. That's where I would be looking, is, you know, here, right? About 50 cents. That's where my target would be. I hope that helps. I mean, I'm not a big fan of XRP. It's just like every time I zoom out to the weekly chart, it's just like so depressing. It's like looking at like the ZEC chart or something, like the Zcash chart. You know what I mean? It's just like the ultimate do nothing. Where is it? Let me see if I. The hell? ZEC, Zcash, USDT, KuCoin. Was it delisted from Binance? The fuck? Whatever. It's like this is that's funny. Let's bring these up side by side here to show you what I mean and illustrate my point. That's on a weekly. Put this one on a weekly. It just right? Like obviously like, you know, this, but if you discount that, I mean, it just looks very, very similar where it like rips and then just round trips itself almost. The like XRP, obviously it wasn't as bad as ZC. Like this round tripped 100%. You know, this round tripped what? Like not as much, obviously. 84%. ZEC was literally like, how much was this to the bottom? 92%. That's insane. But yeah, it's just a depressing chart to me. Like there's, you know what I mean? Like it's just like a giant, the most giant W. I mean, yeah, like there's huge, like this in and of itself is a massive W. And then there's like this W in here, right? And then this W in here. It's just like really, really bad. It's not looking awesome. I don't know. I mean, there's just other things that I would choose to be trading besides that. I'm sorry. I just don't like XRP. In general, most altcoins look like absolute garbage right now. Like Dash looks like garbage. Comp looks like garbage. Even Link is like, it's just really bad here with Link. Oops, what happened? Even this is like not looking good. Even if you change it to log, it's just like really not looking good, fam. I mean, this has just been literally going sideways for over a year, right? Like this is a weekly chart. When it entered this bottom range, it was 516 2022. It's 526 2022 and it's still at the same fucking price that it was a year ago. It's just chopping everybody to pieces. I mean, if you look at the 3-month, like, okay, sure, it's seeing a period of consolidation here, but like 1, 2, 3, 4 until it broke. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 until it broke. So, I mean, yeah, it's like seeing that bear market consolidation. Am I saying that it's not going to go up ever again? I mean, no, of course not. You know, I mean, like it's going to keep going up. Like Link is not, it's not like a shit coin. It's a dinosaur coin, but it's not a shit coin. KNC just looks terrible. It's trading at all-time lows. Cody, I don't even know what this is, but at least it's held. Vet, I don't even know what that is. My altcoin list, like I really don't trade very many altcoins. Normally when I do, it's like Algo, you know what I mean? Like, and Algo has just like been looking like absolute garbage. I've been trading any altcoins recently because most of them look like this. CRV looks bad. This is Theta is holding up pretty well. Didex is just hot garbage. After they made that announcement, I dumped all of my Didex up here. Luckily, I got out at a small profit. XMR is holding. Like this looks good to me. XMR looks pretty good, right? You've got a really clear defined trend line here. It's just riding the trend line here. Like that looks pretty good. You know, maybe this breaks out at some point. Is this the 2021 bull market? Yeah, I can see that. Some whale dumped a ton into hot. And it looks like pure crap. Damn. So I made a thread on this. It was like, well, it wasn't really a thread. It was more like a fucking multi-post rant. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see, where is it? Okay, this. So the founder of Didex just said the Didex core. This is a quote. The Didex core team will not run a front end indexer or validators for Didex version 4. We will just develop open source code. So people asked him what incentives people get from fees for deciding to run front ends or indexers. And he responded, we don't have plans to include that into the protocol. So basically, oh, okay, cool. You can support the network and you get absolutely nothing for it. So then the same person asked him, okay, so how does Didex, the company, physically make money and pay their developers? And he was like, well, we're not going to make any money on fees from version 4. We've got 250 mil in the bank and 50 employees. So we've got quite a lot of runway. When that runs out, we'll have to see, like, wait, what do you mean when that runs out? Like, you're planning on running out your bank to pay your devs? What the fuck? So like, as soon as he made that announcement and it was so nonchalant about that, I was just like, man, fuck this, fuck that whole project. Like, I'm not getting involved in it. Like, I had a shit ton of Didex. To be honest with you, if I go to the Didex chart, I can probably show you where. So like, this candle was mostly me. Like when I dumped, like that was this candle. Like I'm pretty sure this was me dumping. Like I dumped my coins. It was pretty bad. Like I mean, it's just like, I mean, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean you have? Oh, first of all, if you have 50 employees, that doesn't mean that you're actually like a small business anymore. Like you're a small company, but you're not a small business. Like a small business is like it's you and 2 or 3 employees, right? Like it's small. You're running it out of a house or a rented office space. When you have 50 employees, like you have like commercial real estate, like you have offices, right? And if you don't, then you're still paying 50 people, like regardless of where they live in the world, even if they're working remotely. $250 million for 50 employees or whatever is like not very much money. And he blatantly said, when that runs out, we'll have to see. Like, what the fuck? So basically I commented and I was like, basically the devs will have no fund support and they're going to resort to ads. And they plan on open sourcing everything, which is a hugely irresponsibility. And it's just going to enable thieves to start tons of phishing sites. It's literally that whole platform is just going to be a dumpster fire. Like it's not going to hold a candle to anything that that Apex Pro is doing. Like it's just not good. Like I'm not here to bash one exchange over the other. You know, I reached out to Didex earlier when they were like first coming around and it was like a really big deal and it was kind of like one of the first in the spaces. And I wanted to get on board with that and I wanted to like really be behind them on that. I even talked with Astrobit about implementing connections to Didex, and these are all the reasons why Astrobit didn't, and these are the reasons why I pulled out. It's just not a sound business model. Like letting your funds run out and then figuring out when they run out how you're going to pay people, that's not a successful business model. Like that's not a good plan to have. That's a fail. That's a big L. Like I don't know. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't have to go in too much detail about it, but at the end of the day, that's not a good look. It's a terrible business plan. Oh, well, we're just not going to make any money off of fees. Well, if you don't make money off fees, how do you pay your people? Well, we're just not going to pay them. Wait, excuse me? Like, sorry. Like if you're openly saying on Twitter that you're not going to pay your employees when your funds run out, I'm not going to take you seriously. Because that's a failing business plan. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, I'm not drinking beer tonight. Unfortunately, I don't have one with me right now. I don't want to get up and go get one. So I'm gonna get super fucking baked instead, and I'm smoking on some fucking some live resin right now. But anyway, the American business model. I mean, the American, America used to have a business model. Now we're just in crazy debt. I don't even want to get into all that. I'll end up going on like a crazy tirade rant. Here's the other thing is the NASDAQ, right? Oh my God. Like the NASDAQ 100 has just been absolutely just crushing it. And again, mostly NVIDIA, right? It broke through these highs, is mostly NVIDIA. If you come down again, we're on a daily chart. Now, while there isn't divergence on the RSI, what a lot of people aren't looking at is just this massive, I mean, this was a very clear uptrend, right? I mean, like I even have the channel drawn here, right? We had a big bear flag. It continued, it consolidated flat for a little bit. And instead we got this horizontal range. It broke out again. Okay. This was very clear price action. Like you can't ask for a better thing than this. Smoking some black opal myself. Nice. Crypto Sharknado. Dude, the fucking, I got to tell you, the handle checks out. That's hilarious. Sharknado. Love to see it. And I know that holy shit. Excuse me. God damn. Woo. Yeah, another reason why I don't have my camera on is YouTube started demonetizing people that were smoking weed live on stream and stuff because it's not legal for either legal or recreational purposes in all states in the US or worldwide for that reason. So they started demonetizing people. So that's another reason why I have my my camera off. Anyway, what I was saying, what people aren't watching here is like, yeah, sure, we don't have divergence here, right? Nope, sure don't. Not on the RSI, we don't. But we are making a massively higher high, and the volume is like nowhere close to what it was back here. Now, typically in crypto, you get the most volume at the end of a move. That's not how it works in legacy markets. Like you get the most volume like when the move starts off, right? Like you see the volume, just see this like U shape in volume, right? It was all bearish and it just made this huge dip and immediately went bullish. This is like where you long, right? Like you were bottom fishing. Maybe you saw this and you caught a triple bottom here. But in general, most people were buying this and then they were snagging like in here somewhere, like in this retest. And then it just completely cranks. That's exactly what we got. We got a nice flag. We went up. We got a flat consolidation. We broke out. It's moving up again. However, we're moving up exponentially high solely because of NVIDIA. NVIDIA is just driving everything up. And the volume is like substantially lower. Like if you discount that one volume bar, you know, we're looking like that, right? Like in general, it's going down. And all we got from here was this is all NVIDIA. It's all NVIDIA. This is all NVIDIA hype. Okay. That's all that is. I'm not interested in that at all. I think it's a fluke. From here to here, again, very, very big loss of momentum, big divergence forming on the momentum. And if you look at OBV, the OBV hasn't fucking budged. This is all options volume. Like when you look at the spot OBV, right? And you see a massive price increase like this and the OBV doesn't break any previous highs at all. This is like a very big telltale sign that you've probably like this move is, if it's not over, it's coming to an end very shortly. Okay. Like these are all the signs that I look for to be shorting is when you start getting flat tops in OBV, you start getting decreasing volume on huge pumps to the top side. These are the moves that you fade. Okay. And I know that everybody watching the stream, anybody that's going to rewatch the stream is going to be like, oh, Cobra doesn't know what he's fucking talking about. You know, who would fucking short into this huge bull run? It's like, okay, it was a huge bull run. If you missed all of this, then you fucking short it. You know, am I saying that I never took a single fucking long through this? No, of course not. Of course I did. Of course I did. And I rebalanced my portfolio too, like all through this, starting back here. Obviously I wasn't, you know, gambling my big main accounts on a fucking triple bottom. I got in like around here, like I said, and I played this, but I got out up here. This move can fuck off and do whatever. And now I'm going to be looking to be off. Like this is where I'm selling. Like this is where I'm starting to sell. Okay. Like I'm selling puts here, you know, like, like that's a thing. Like these are the moves that I want to fade. Like there in the Fang. I mean, like, look at this ridiculousness. Same thing. If you look at the OBV here, look at this closely, right? Like what? What is it? What is this horseshit OBV move? And more importantly, what is this like fucking hot garbage? Was this like a giant like multimillionaire fat finger? What is that about? Because this is spot. So I would very much like to know what the fuck this is. But even if you discount that, it's like, you know, this is just like a really weak move. Like in terms of like actual spot volume, like it's looking kind of weak sauce to me for how high the price has gone. I don't give a shit what the RSI is doing. If the physical spot volume is garbage and these are starting to flip over, I mean, like, yeah, like this did the same thing. I'm looking for selling opportunities here. Like I want to offload my bags and reposition my portfolio here. I don't want to be fucking like caught holding this bag or certainly be buying into this. The place to buy into this was this bullish retest or these bullish retests. Or these bullish retests, right? Like you had tons of opportunity to be buying in here if you weren't watching the charts. Now is not like you don't buy up here when the OBV and the volume is just and starting to die off on massive pumps. Like that's not when you buy. This is how new traders get absolutely dunked on. Okay, like that's not a good idea. You don't want to do this. Let's take a look at. Well, let's go back to the Bitcoin chart and let's look at our key levels. Okay, because I didn't really look at the daily. I'm going to look at the daily real quick. I'm going to look at the liquidation levels. And then for those of you guys that want to stick around and learn a little bit about the Venom Algo and why it's fucking awesome and it's like one of a kind on Astrobit right now, then stick around for that. I'm going to go over some of the trades that it took and just explain the logic behind it, what my plans are with the algo going forward. Changes that I'm already experimenting with on a separate test version and like a test environment for the algo itself. So I'm going to be going over all of that stuff here in just a second. So stick around. If you're new here, make sure you like and subscribe, as I mentioned, and leave a comment down below and let me know, if you guys like the streams and stuff like that. I do check the comments. I appreciate the feedback. But most importantly, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So stick around for all that stuff. Let's go over this daily chart real quick. Clearly, to me, this is a breakdown here. Okay, like even if let me just bring up a fresh Bitcoin chart. Okay, boom, Bitcoin daily. Okay, clearly we have a level of support here that's been broken. Okay, we were kind of flirting with it for a while. Okay, we broke through it. This, to me, no matter where you want to draw this from, you want to draw it here. Okay, cool. You want to move this up to the candle closes. Okay, cool, whatever. No matter how you cut it, this is kind of like a breakdown and a retest from the bottom side to me. Okay, like that's exactly what this looks like. Okay, very clear level here. This is a breakdown and a retest. Now, this doesn't look to me like we're going to see one of these. Okay, one, because this is a fresh start of a pretty massive move. And two, we're losing momentum here. The momentum is starting to get lost, which worries me a little bit. Okay. So like from here to here, okay, yeah, no, there's no divergence. The volume is still bullish and actually it's kind of leveling off, which is actually a good sign. There's no bearish divergence or anything here. If we look at our fibs, what was our fib pullback on the move? Bam, we nailed the golden pocket. Okay, awesome. It's also a major level of resistance. I would say that this is good for more downside personally. But the reason why I'm not in a manual position right now is simply because it's a holiday weekend. I don't trade holiday weekends and I don't trade non-farm payroll. This next week for me is going to be very boring because non-farm payrolls on Friday. The markets don't even open till Tuesday. And then we're just going to be getting like jobless numbers and fucking numbers all week. It's probably going to be a very low volatile, a low volatile week. However, when it comes to non-farm payroll and debt ceiling shit and all of that, I want to be where I want to be right now is I do want to be sidelined. I've never in 12 years, I have not actively traded a debt ceiling default crisis at the same time that employment is at 75-year lows and inflation is at all-time highs at the same time that we're risking national default, and it's a non-farm payroll day, and it's a huge options expiry day. Nah, fuck that, man. Like I'm sitting out for that one. Okay. Like I'm going to let my algo do the work and do its thing, whatever. Hopefully it does great, awesome, cool. Me personally, I'm not trading that shit like manually. There's no way I'm not doing that. I love trading FOMC days. You guys know I stream those and I live trade those. But there's no way. Like next FOMC, yeah, I'm going to live trade that too. But the drama with the debt ceiling and if we're defaulting or not, all that shit's going to be a thing of the past by the time that the next FOMC happens. So, but yeah, no, largely this week, I'm not really going to be trading. This to me looks like a bearish retest and a breakdown. Here we had very, very, very clear defined bearish momentum all through here. This, not so much here. But this is like starting to die off. I really think that we end up moving to the downside here. It's like the Super Bowl of trading. I mean, yeah, it kind of is, but Jesus Christ, that's like doing way too much, bro. Don't let him fool you guys. His face cam is off because he shaved. I'm not gonna lie, that's actually a very big it's actually a very big part of it. I'm honestly kind of embarrassed. It looks bad. It was a terrible mistake. I'll put it that way. Anyway, liquidation charts. Okay, let's come back to like our 15-minute time frame. Let's bring this stuff up on the chart. This is where we're at right now. Look at this bounce, by the way. Like I know that I posted this earlier. Like I don't know if you guys follow me on Twitter. You guys should. Okay, but this is what's been going on, right? Okay, so here's like our low time frame levels. This was our last level before we broke out from this, right? And these were our minor range highs. What ended up happening? Was I quoted that, and then this happened. We broke through that high and these highs, and this move ended up forming and happening, right? So I replied to that, and this is where we're at now. Like, is this a level flip? Holy crap. And we had been bouncing a little bit. Since then, this is where we're at now. We bounced, and then we're bouncing again here. Okay, so this is where I posted it. This is what's happening. Or whatever, and now, we're starting to bounce here or whatever. Let's see, let's go to this. This is our 12-hour heat map, highblockcapital.com, ref link to help support the channel in the description if you guys are interested. Man, that looks really, really crappy, to be honest. We're just sandwiched in between a lot of liquidity. Let's zoom it out to like a week. Zoom it out to like a week chart. Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's a little better. Now I can kind of work with that. So this is what's in our immediate area here, right? So we really don't have anything in our immediate area. Like you can tell, like once this liquidity here got swept, like that was kind of it. Like that was the last thing that was close to the price action that got swept out. From here, there's really not very much above us until above 27 and like below, I don't know, I want to say like below 26.1. So like we're just going to be floating in like $1,000 range here. This is 27K up here. This is 26. So 26.1 is like what down here, right? Yeah, it's like the local, it's this level basically. Like this is where it looks like that we're just going to be forming a new range here. Like we're going to have some kind of major high up here, and this is going to be like a bottom. Right? Something like this. This would end up being more well-defined, right? And it would end up looking probably something like this, okay? And you'd end up having some kind of a range, okay, like this. This would end up getting changed or whatever. I don't want to get into it right now because it hasn't happened. There's not enough information here for me to completely redraw a brand new range. But for the low time frame, this is looking like it could be a level flip, right? We had one failed V-shape correction here to continue. But now we got a double bottom and so far a pretty nice bounce. But price action is struggling, breaking this very, very small time frame resistance here, okay, at 26.7. It just can't seem to be breaking above that. If you can't break above this, then you won't break above up here, right? You won't break above 26.8. It's just not going to happen. So if we look at liquidity, again, even here, this is lower time frame. These are the individualized levels. Look at this. There's just a couple hundred X's below us. And then there's just like a bit, like a pretty decent sized white space. And there's just all white space above us until you start getting up to like 27K. So, will we see volatility probably to the downside? Yeah, probably down to like maybe 26.5-ish. Okay. But again, low volume weekend, I'm not really counting on too much happening. My bet would be that we probably see like some kind of like 26.5-ish sweep, like back down into our local support here. But at the end of the day, what's that going to end up forming? That's just going to be like a massive flag, right? It's just going to be some crazy flag. That's what that would end up being, is like you get one of these and you'd have a big flag here. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. That's what I'm personally expecting. I think we probably get more downside before upside here. What does Fib say? This whole move was how much? We retraced 50%. I mean, that's pretty. If we're going to continue to the top side, then the retracement should be done. It just really depends on this low volume weekend for real. My bet, if it was a normal weekend, would be we would slow grind down and then pop. But on a low volume weekend, on a holiday weekend like this, with the potential of a default, I don't know, man. I mean, it's like anybody's game. If we close above this level on a 15-minute or a 1 hour time frame, and we close above 26.7, then that's good if we can like reflip and hold 26.7. But I mean, if it comes back down, to this like 26.5-ish area again, if this doesn't hold, it's over. We're just going to continue right back down to the downside, and we'll probably see new lows again. Like we'll break through all this. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, algo stuff. Let me bring this chart over here and make sure that I'm not doxing anything before I do this. Okay. No, I'm not doxing anything. Okay. So algo was like incredibly short. It took a loss on this long. And then that was when I redid and tightened up some of the stop loss to protect from things like this happening again in the future, where it just holds like way too long without a trailing stop like kicking in immediately from when the trade opened. So we shorted here, and it literally just bounced around and was like sitting in mostly drawdown for like a long time. Like there's only, I think I looked back through the back test. I was like, man, how many times has the algo been in a position where no trailing stop has been triggered and it's been sitting without changing without even changing directions, regardless of winning or losing, for this long of an amount of time on a 5-minute chart? Because like, look at this. This entered on the 12th. It only closed the short here. Now, I think it's great that it just held flat the entire time and then closed with a small profit. That's awesome. At least it wasn't a loss, right? That's good. And so far this long, I took a long like immediately right after that. Everything triggered, took a long, everything was good. And yeah, it's been kind of like off to the races from there. So once we reached this point, that triggered the trailing stop. So the stop loss for this long position is already in the profit. So no matter what, this is a winning trade. That's the kind of way that I designed this. So the final take profit would be up here around 28.5. Final stop loss is now here at like 26.5. And the partial take profit would trigger at about 27.1. So there's going to be some changes with this stuff, right? I mentioned that I always do, I'm always updating. I'm always trying to do anything that I can to improve to make people, more profits and make it trade more like I trade, right? So how do I do that? Well, today I was actually I had a meeting, and I was going over some things, and the next iteration, and it's just going to be a rolling update, right? Like, obviously I'm probably going to wait, I'm not going to do it over a holiday weekend. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably do it on Monday or Tuesday. or whatever. And it'll just be a rolling update. But what's going to happen is, again, like that max stop loss, originally it was at 10% upon launch because I was getting a lot of requests from people that wanted to run multiples, have one run on like 1 or 2x and then have one run on like full degen mode with like, 50 or $100, like some like some walking around on the street money, right? Like 50, $100 or whatever, and like max degen it on 10x leverage. I got flack for that because the original Black Swan protection hard stop out was at 10%. Well, 10% of your portfolio times 10x, you're wiping out, like you're liquidating yourself, right? So I got a lot of flack from that. I think the intentions were good. They were there. People wanted multiples. Most of the guys that are using this are Astrobit people anyway, and they understand money management and risk management and stuff. But I caught a lot of flack for it. So what I did was I dropped it back to 7.5%. In my opinion, like just kind of observing how this price action has gone and how long it was in that that short without doing anything, and also that previous long position before that short, where it just like grinded down, and then finally got stopped out. That's unacceptable. Those things can be prevented. I recognize that. I understand that. And in this next update, the hard stop is also going to be the trailing stop. And they're going to be slightly different. I can't get into the inner workings of exactly how it's going to be happening, but the hard stops for both longs and shorts, I think, aren't going to be more than like 3.5% or 4%, which ends up working out to like 2.5 or 3.5 times the ATR, which is how I normally calculate a stop loss for stuff. So that's going to be working out beautifully. The trailing stops are going to trigger sooner. The hard stops are going to be tighter. The take profits are also going to be tighter, like a lot tighter. Like it's not going to be taking its first partial take profit of only 10% of the position at like 3.5%. 3.5% on the 5-minute chart is just, I'm getting used to these smaller time frames, and 3.5% on a small time frame like the 5-minute is a fucking massive move on a 5-minute chart. It doesn't make sense. I'm reeling that in, and I'm changing that. Oh yeah, on the first take profit, it's only going to close 10% of the position. While that's good and it covers fees and you make a little bit of extra money, it's just not enough, because when you're talking about the price only moving 1.5 or 2.5% on the 5-minute chart, you don't want to be closing only 10% of the position at like 3.5%. You want to be closing like the majority of the position at 3.5%. So those values are going to be getting adjusted. I'm going to be tightening those up, and what's going to happen is it's going to have a much tighter stop. It's going to take profits sooner, and it's going to be closing instead of 10% of the position. It's going to close like 75 or 80% of the position. So that's actually like making some dope money, while at the same time triggering trailing stops sooner, so that they're higher up in the profit, and prices don't reverse on you and you end up giving all of that back. Like, oh yeah, it took partial profit, but then the price moved all the way back against me and it took a loss and wiped out the win. Like that's not the scenario that I want. That's like old school, like a year and a half ago Astrobit. Like it's like new age Astrobit. Like I'm not fucking around with that kind of shit anymore. Like if the price is going to move on a small time frame, then it's going to move, it's going to lock in profits, and it's immediately going to have a stop at over break even, so that no matter what, it's a risk-free trade. Kind of like what we have here now, where, okay, now this is still the original version, right? With the new version, what would have happened is probably this wick would have been a partial take profit. And then since here, this whole time, like from basically right here, right? Like this stop loss would have probably been about where it is right now. But it already would have closed like a very large portion of the trade on this one small, like, boom, okay, cool, it took it. You've still got this, but now you're just kind of sitting with only 15%, and you close and made a majority of your profit, instead of like holding still the entire position here, and you have to get all the way up to 27.1 in order to take only 10% partial profit. That doesn't make sense, right? Like that's why these are going to be getting adjusted in the future. So this is kind of like an inside look at how I've been kind of working with this and how I've been, just over time since launch, just, cranking up to maximize the profits, cranking up the risk management, tightening it, conserve as much money as possible. Any dumb old algo or dumb old trader can make money in the markets, right? But it's a matter of, are you able to hold on to those profits? And that's what's really important. So that's kind of the backbone of my entire product is like, okay, cool. If it's in a winning trade, cool. Like take profit on it. No one ever went broke taking profit. Like even if it's small profit, it's a 0.75% here and it's 1.5% here and it's 3% there. Those little 1.5% and 3% profits, those add up, especially when you're not round tripping them or getting into a position that just never closes and ends up getting into like crazy drawdown and then closes at a massive loss. Now you're not just wiping out one trade, you're wiping out like the last 10 wins. That makes for an unprofitable algo. That's not the kind of product that I want. Not for myself, not for you guys. That's bullshit. That's just going to be a long-term loser. No one wants to pay an additional monthly fee for something that's going to long-term lose the money, right? Duh. So yeah, just really, really focusing on the risk management. You guys know that I'm really risk management focused, and it's taken a couple years, but I've finally gotten this algo to the point where not only can it obviously enter and exit automatically, but now it's also automatically doing trailing stops. It's partial take profits. There's only one other strategist even on Astrobit that even has a functional take profit like I do. So, that's kind of like a new thing for Astrobit in general. And I think you guys are going to be really happy with the new update from this. It's going to lock in more profits. It's going to stop itself out sooner if the price action moves against it. To not experience the drawdown and just not get caught in a bad trade that could potentially have a shit ton of drawdown. It's going to trade a little bit more often as well, but because of the risk management, it's also going to have a higher hit rate and it's going to have a much, much higher buy and hold. So, you know what? Let me do this. I'm just going to show it to you guys. You guys ready for this? Hold on, just give me a second. I'm doing something on the other screen so I don't fucking dox anything here. Off. Okay. Actually, you know what? I don't think I can show this to you guys. This is going to disclose too much stuff. Damn it. No, I can't. I don't want to modify it right now because it's still a work in progress. All right. I'm sorry. I faked. Rugged. My bad. I don't want to. I can't. I just can't do it. There's too much stuff still going on that other chart. If I disclose it, it's gonna like blow the surprise. I can show you guys this because this is what's currently live and available. But if I show you that, I just don't feel comfortable doing it right now. It's still a work in progress. But in general, like all these lines are like the stop losses and the partial take profits and final take profits and stuff like that. These are all going to be in a much, much, much tighter range around the price action. They're not going to be nearly as spread out as this. Like this is way far away for a final take profit. Like this is the chance of this hitting on a 5-minute time frame is very small. Even this partial take profit from where the original entry is. I mean, I'll show it to you and calculate it to you, right? It's 3.5% right now. That's going to be changing. That's getting like cut in half. It's going to be like 1.5%. So I guess, it would have taken partial profit right here at the very, very top of this wick. And from this point is where this blue line, this is the trailing stop. From this point is where it would have kicked in. And it would have kicked in I think here. So it would not have gotten stopped out here, actually, by a very slim margin. Obviously, I didn't just calculate the new changes on this one fucking example. But it would have still stayed in this and it would have followed it actually all the way up. Where is 2%? So 2.5. Okay, so here, where it would have moved the stop up to 1.5, it would have barely been missed again. That's like barely missing it here. I don't know. You guys will see. Once I post it live, I'm going to post like screenshots and stuff of it. Like, you guys know how I do. But anyway, it's like I said, it's going to trade more. It's going to take less shitty trades. It's going to hold on to shitty trades way shorter of an amount of time. It's going to cut the losses sooner. It's going to book profits sooner. And like, you know, as soon as it enters into a trade, it's going to have a trailing stop no matter what. As soon as it triggers a position, there's always going to be a stop loss, and it's going to be the 3.5%. No loss on spot will ever be more than 3.5% or 4% or whatever. So that's basically where my head is going with that. But anyway, stay tuned for all that. Again, if you're new here, you know, I really appreciate you guys checking out the Venom Algo page. Give the Twitter here a follow. Show me some love. You know what I mean? I think just a month ago, this was only like 150 followers. So thanks to everybody. There is a 15% discount right now with code ANTIVENOM if you guys are interested in trying it out. And yeah, that's about it. I think I'm probably going to go ahead and cut the stream there. I'm about 30 minutes over. So thank you guys once again for joining. I really appreciate all you guys. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe button. If you guys joined like partway through the stream, this will go live and, you know, automatically when I'm done streaming, and you guys can watch the replay and get all of your stuff, you know, from the beginning that you may have missed. Be safe if you live in the US. Happy Memorial Day. I really hope that you guys enjoy it, especially to all of those that, you know, have served, do serve, you know, did serve, family served or serves, you know, just many blessings to you guys and your families for that. Spend it with them. Cherish all the time, especially Memorial Day weekend. Hopefully you guys get good weather. Be safe, drink a lot, eat a lot, grill, have fun. And on Monday, I will see you guys. Actually, no, on Tuesday. Markets are closed on Monday, but I'll probably be working. I'll be in the Discords, but probably not really trading very much since it's a holiday. But yeah, you guys enjoy your weekend. God bless and happy trading.